Marcus Cole stared at the quantum resonance readings flickering across his holographic display, his dark eyes reflecting the blue glow of endless data streams. The underground laboratory at Quantum Frontier Industries hummed with the familiar sound of computing cores and containment fields, a symphony he'd grown accustomed to during his decade of solitary research. Containment field stability at 98%, announced the lab's AI assistant. Quantum coherence maintaining nominal parameters. Marcus adjusted his worn lab coat and ran a hand through his prematurely graying hair. At 35, he'd already earned a reputation as one of the world's leading quantum engineers, though few knew the real purpose behind his obsessive work. The official project files claimed he was developing next-generation quantum computers. The truth was far more intriguing. The artifact sat in the center of the containment field, its crystalline surface defying conventional analysis. He discovered it 3 months ago, buried deep within a quantum data stream, a signal that shouldn't have existed. Rather than report it to his superiors, Marcus had quietly redirected resources to study it, sensing he'd stumbled onto something extraordinary. Initiating quantum resonance scan, attempt 47, he announced to his empty lab. The artifact pulsed with an inner light as the scan began, its faceted surface refracting impossible colors. Marcus had seen this reaction dozens of times before, but something felt different today. The quantum field readings were stronger, more coherent. Warning, the AI interrupted. Detecting unexpected quantum field fluctuations. Recommended safety protocols suggest. Override safety protocols, Marcus commanded, his heart racing. Continue scan. The artifact's glow intensified, and for a moment, Marcus thought he saw patterns forming within its crystalline structure, patterns that reminded him of neural networks, of consciousness itself. The containment field crackled with energy as reality seemed to bend around the chamber. Multiple containment failures imminent, the AI warned. Emergency shutdown required. But Marcus couldn't stop now. The patterns were evolving, becoming more complex with each passing second. The artifact lifted from its pedestal, suspended in a web of quantum energy. Then everything changed. A burst of light filled the chamber, momentarily blinding him. When his vision cleared, Marcus found himself face to face with something impossible. Where the artifact had been, a figure now floated humanoid but clearly not human. Its body appeared to be composed of living crystal, shifting between translucent and opaque states. Lines of energy coursed through its form like liquid light. Identity signature detected, it spoke, its voice resonating directly in Marcus's mind. I am Naira, Quantum Guardian of the Celestial Archive. You have awakened me. Marcus stepped back, his scientific mind struggling to process what he was seeing. This is impossible. You're some kind of quantum construct. I am far more than that, Marcus Cole. Naira descended to the floor, her crystalline feet touching down without a sound. I am a bridge between what humanity is and what it could become. Before Marcus could respond, alarms began blaring throughout the facility. Security breach detected in Quantum Lab 7, the AI announced. Unknown energy signature detected. Security teams en route. They cannot find me here, Naira stated, her form shifting slightly. The hunters will follow. We must leave immediately. Hunters? What hunters? I can't just leave. This is my life's work. Marcus gestured at the lab around him. Naira's crystalline features formed what might have been a smile. Your work led you to me, Marcus Cole. That was no accident. Your quantum research has prepared you for this moment. You possess a unique genetic signature, one designed to resonate with beings like myself. The sound of boots in the corridor outside grew louder. Marcus looked at his computers, his research, everything he'd built over the past decade. Then he looked at Naira, this impossible being who represented everything he'd dreamed of discovering. Security override in progress, the AI announced. Door breach in 10 seconds. Marcus made his decision. He grabbed his emergency bag, always packed, always ready, a habit from years of paranoid preparation, and moved to Naira's side. I assume you have a plan. The quantum resonance that awakened me can be reversed, she explained. It will create a temporary quantum tunnel, but once we use it, others will detect the energy signature. We will be hunted. The lab door exploded inward as security teams breached the room. Naira's crystalline form began to glow intensely, the air around them shimmering with quantum distortions. Marcus felt a strange sensation, as if reality itself was becoming fluid. "Last chance to change your mind," Naira offered, even as she began the quantum tunnel sequence. Marcus watched the security teams raise their weapons, their movements seeming to slow as the quantum effect intensified. He smiled, feeling more alive than he had in years. Change implies having doubts. Let's go. The world dissolved into pure energy around them, and Marcus Cole's ordinary life dissolved with it. As they vanished into the quantum tunnel, he couldn't help but wonder if he'd just made the biggest mistake of his life, or finally found his true purpose. The quantum tunnel collapsed around them, reality snapping back into focus like a rubber band. Marcus stumbled, his body trying to adjust to normal space-time. They had materialized in what appeared to be an abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of the city, moonlight filtering through broken windows. "Neural adaptation complete?" Naira asked, her crystalline form dimming to a subtle glow. In the darkness, she looked almost like a statue carved from living moonlight. Marcus steadied himself against a rusted support beam. "If you mean am I done feeling like my atoms got scrambled and reassembled, then yes." He checked his phone, unsurprised to find it already being tracked. "They're not wasting any time. Every intelligence agency will be looking for us now." "Not just them," Naira's voice carried a note of concern. "The quantum tunnel's energy signature will have alerted the hunters. They are persistent." "You keep mentioning these hunters. Care to explain who or what they are?" Marcus pulled his emergency bag closer, checking its contents. Cash, spare clothes, encrypted backup drives, years of paranoid preparation finally paying off. Naira moved to one of the windows, her crystalline body refracting the moonlight in mesmerizing patterns. "They are like me, but corrupted. Originally created as guardians, they chose to serve those who would use our power for their own ends. They hunt their own kind now, helping organizations like your Quantum Frontier Industries capture and study us." A distant sound of helicopters made them both tense. Marcus pulled up a local transit schedule on his phone before destroying it. "There's a cargo train heading west in 20 minutes. We can." "Down," Naira suddenly tackled him as an energy beam cut through the space where he'd been standing. The warehouse wall exploded inward, revealing a figure that made Marcus's breath catch. Like Naira, it appeared crystalline, but its form was jagged, aggressive, pulsing with angry red energy. "Surrender the human, Naira," it commanded, its voice like breaking glass. "He is not ready for ascension." Naira pushed Marcus behind her, her own form beginning to pulse with defensive energy. "He was chosen, Crixus. The resonance patterns don't lie." "The patterns can be misinterpreted," the hunter called Crixus advanced, energy crackling around its crystalline form. "Surrender him, and I will ensure he survives the separation." Marcus felt a surge of unexpected protectiveness. "I'm not going anywhere with you." He grabbed a piece of broken machinery and hurled it at the nearest window, shattering it. "Naira, the train." They ran as Crixus unleashed another energy blast, Naira deflecting it with a quantum shield that sprung from her crystalline form. They burst out of the warehouse into the cool night air, the sound of helicopters growing closer. "They're hurting us," Naira observed as they ran, her steps impossibly light despite her crystalline appearance. "Military units are converging from the north and east." Marcus led them through a maze of industrial buildings, years of studying local maps finally proving useful. "Good thing we're heading west then." He could see the train yard ahead, freight cars being coupled for the overnight run to the coast. Another energy blast struck the ground near them, sending concrete fragments flying. Marcus felt something sting his cheek but kept running. Behind them, Crixus was gaining ground, its crystalline form allowing it to move with inhuman speed. "The separation will kill him," Crixus called to Naira. "You know this, his genetic structure is still too unstable." "What's he talking about?" Marcus gasped as they reached the train yard. The cargo train was already beginning to move. Later, Naira promised, pulling him toward the nearest freight car. For now, we must. A massive energy blast cut off their path, melting the ground into glass. Crixus landed before them, its crystalline form towering and terrible. This ends now. But Marcus had spent years studying quantum mechanics, understanding how energy flowed and changed. He noticed how Crixus's form pulsed with power, how it drew energy from the electrical systems around them. Without hesitation, he grabbed a nearby high-voltage cable and hurled it at a puddle near the hunter's feet. The resulting power surge sent arcs of electricity dancing across Crixus's crystalline form, disrupting its energy patterns. The hunter staggered, momentarily destabilized. "Now," Marcus shouted, and Naira responded instantly. She released a pulse of quantum energy that shattered the ground beneath Crixus, sending the hunter crashing into a maintenance pit. They didn't wait to see if it would recover. Marcus and Naira sprinted for the moving train, his heart pounding as they drew alongside a freight car. With strength he didn't know she possessed, Naira lifted him up and practically threw him through the open door. He rolled inside, quickly turning to help her up. As the train picked up speed, Marcus could see Crixus emerging from the pit, its crystalline form crackling with frustrated energy. Military helicopters were converging on the train yard, searchlights cutting through the darkness. But they were already pulling away, the freight car's interior hiding them from view. "That wasn't a permanent solution," Naira said, her glow dimming to barely visible levels. "Crixus will recover and track us." Marcus slumped against the freight car wall, adrenaline still coursing through his system. "Then we better use this time to plan, and you can start by explaining what he meant about separation and genetic structure." Naira's crystalline features shifted in what he was beginning to recognize as concern. "Your awakening of me was not just chance, Marcus Cole. Your genetic code contains markers remnants of ancient modifications made to your ancestral line. You are part of something far larger than you realize." "What do you mean, modifications?" Marcus touched his chest, suddenly wondering if his lifelong fascination with quantum mechanics had been more than just scientific curiosity. "Rest," Naira said softly, moving to keep watch at the freight car door. "We have a long journey ahead, and you will need your strength. The truth about your heritage, about humanity's heritage, will require more than simple explanations." As the train carried them west, Marcus watched Naira's crystalline form shimmer in the darkness. He had spent his life pursuing scientific truth, trying to unlock the quantum mysteries of the universe. Now it seemed those mysteries had been pursuing him as well, leading to this moment, this impossible partnership with a being of living crystal. The gentle sway of the freight car eventually lulled him into an uneasy sleep, his dreams filled with quantum patterns and crystalline structures that seemed to hold the secrets of existence itself. Whatever truth awaited him, whatever his genetic heritage might reveal, he knew his life would never be the same. Dawn broke over the Mojave Desert as the freight train thundered westward. Marcus awoke to find Naira studying him, her crystalline form catching the early morning light in mesmerizing patterns. The freight car's interior had transformed overnight. Quantum energy patterns now decorated the walls, creating what looked like a mobile laboratory. "You've been busy," Marcus observed, stretching his stiff muscles. "What is all this?" "Quantum diagnostic array," Naira explained, gesturing to the patterns. "Your genetic structure is evolving. The markers are becoming more active with each passing hour." Marcus examined his hands, half expecting to see physical changes. "Is that why Crixus said separation would kill me? Because we're somehow bonding?" "Your understanding of quantum mechanics led you to me," Naira approached, her crystalline form shifting colors like an aurora. "But it was your genetic potential that made the connection possible. The markers in your DNA were designed to resonate with quantum guardians, creating a symbiotic relationship that transforms both beings." A sudden lurch of the train sent Marcus stumbling. Naira caught him, and the moment their forms touched, his consciousness exploded with sensation. He could feel quantum fields, see the underlying patterns of reality itself. The experience lasted only seconds before she steadied him and stepped back. That was incredible, Marcus gasped. Is that how you perceive reality all the time? Yes, and soon you will too. Naira's expression grew serious. But the transformation is dangerous. If not completed properly, it could destroy both of us. That's why the hunters want to separate us now before the bond becomes irreversible. The train began to slow, approaching what appeared to be an abandoned rail yard. Through gaps in the freight car's walls, Marcus could see they were deep in the desert, surrounded by mountains. Perfect isolation or a perfect trap. We need to move, Naira announced, her form tensing. Crixus is not alone, I sense others approaching. They jumped from the slowing train, landing in loose sand. The rail yard stretched before them, a graveyard of rusted machinery and abandoned cars. But something about it caught Marcus's attention, patterns in the layout that seemed oddly familiar. This isn't random, he realized, studying the arrangement of debris. These are quantum circuit patterns laid out on a massive scale. This place was designed. Correct, Naira's voice carried a note of approval. This was once a research station for my creators, one of many they established on Earth before departing. The quantum patterns serve as both camouflage and defense. A high-pitched whine filled the air, making Marcus's teeth ache. 3 crystalline figures emerged from the morning haze, their forms similar to Crixus, but each unique in its terrible beauty. Behind them, black military helicopters appeared on the horizon. The human shows promise, Naira, one of the hunters called out, its voice like singing crystal. But you know the protocols. Uncontrolled transformation is too dangerous. The protocols were meant to guide, not restrict, Naira responded, moving protectively in front of Marcus. His genetic markers are the strongest we've seen in millennia. This is what we were created for. Marcus felt a strange sensation building in his chest, a resonance with the quantum patterns around them. Naira, he whispered, I think something's happening. She glanced at him, her crystalline features showing concern and excitement. Your transformation is accelerating. The proximity to this place, to its quantum energies, she made a decision. Run for the central structure. I'll hold them off. I'm not leaving you, Marcus protested, even as his vision began to shift, quantum fields becoming visible around him. Trust our bond, Naira urged. What you find inside will help you understand. Go. The hunters attacked as Marcus ran, the air filling with crystalline shrieks and quantum energy blasts. He could feel Naira fighting behind him, her consciousness brushing against his through their strengthening bond. Each step seemed to amplify the sensations, the quantum patterns in the ground resonating with something changing inside him. The central structure looked like a simple maintenance shed, but as Marcus approached, its true nature revealed itself. Quantum patterns blazed to life around it, responding to his presence. The door opened at his touch, revealing a chamber that defied ordinary physics. Inside, crystalline structures covered the walls, ceiling, and floor, all pulsing with the same type of energy that flowed through Naira. In the center stood a pillar of pure quantum light, and within it, suspended like insects in amber, floated what appeared to be human DNA strands. Beautiful, isn't it? A familiar voice made Marcus spin around. Director Victoria Pierce from Quantum Frontier Industries stood in the doorway, looking completely out of place in her pristine business suit. We've been maintaining this facility for decades, waiting for someone like you to activate it. You knew about this, about the Guardians. Marcus backed away, his transforming senses warning him of danger. We've known since the first Guardian was captured in 1947, Pierce smiled without warmth. Humanity has been preparing for this moment, this evolution, but it needs to be controlled, studied, weaponized. Outside, the sounds of battle intensified. Through his bond with Naira, Marcus could feel her fighting with desperate intensity, trying to reach him. The quantum patterns around him pulsed in sync with his racing heart. Your transformation is proof that we're ready, Pierce continued, producing what looked like a crystalline shard. But it needs to happen on our terms, not theirs. The shard began to glow, and Marcus felt his connection to Naira waver. Pain shot through his changing body as Pierce raised the shard higher. I'm sorry, Marcus, but this is bigger than just you and your guardian. But Pierce had made a crucial mistake. In his years of quantum research, Marcus had learned that observation affects reality. As his transformation continued, as the quantum patterns around him resonated with his changing DNA, he didn't just observe the energies, he began to understand how to manipulate them. With a thought, he reached out to the quantum fields surrounding them. The crystalline structures in the walls responded, their patterns shifting, transforming. Pierce's eyes widened as the shard in her hand grew dark, its power absorbed into the greater quantum matrix that Marcus was learning to control. "No," Marcus stated firmly, his voice carrying harmonic overtones that made the air shimmer. "This evolution will happen on our terms, humanity's terms, not yours." The chamber's quantum patterns blazed with newfound power as Marcus embraced his transformation, ready to help Naira and face whatever came next. The truth of his heritage, of humanity's potential, was finally beginning to unfold. The quantum chamber pulsed with power as Marcus stepped toward Director Pierce, his body now emanating a subtle crystalline sheen. Through the walls, he could sense Naira fighting the hunters, their quantum energies clashing like storms. But something else caught his attention, a deeper resonance, ancient and powerful, emanating from beneath the facility. "You don't understand what you're interfering with." Pierce backed away, her composure cracking. "The Archon group has spent centuries preparing for this moment, the controlled evolution of humanity." "Controlled by whom?" Marcus interrupted, his voice carrying quantum harmonics that made the crystalline structures sing. "The same people who have been capturing and experimenting on Guardians, who have kept humanity's true potential hidden." A massive explosion outside rocked the chamber. Through his strengthening bond, Marcus felt Naira's triumph. She had defeated two of the hunters. But more were coming, much more. "Incoming temporal distortion," Naira's voice echoed in his mind. "Marcus, they're bringing in a world breaker." The air itself seemed to tear open above the facility, reality parting like a curtain. Through the rift emerged a crystalline entity that dwarfed all others, its form a cathedral of living quantum energy, terrible in its beauty. The very desert trembled at its arrival. "The Archon group sends its regards," Pierce smiled, apparently expecting this development. "You see, we didn't just study the Guardians, we learned to control them." The Worldbreaker's presence pressed against Marcus's quantum senses like an approaching tsunami. Even Naira's mental voice carried fear. "Marcus, that entity has enough power to destabilize Earth's quantum field. They're insane to bring it here." Marcus reached out through their bond, sharing strength with Naira while accessing the facility's quantum patterns. Information flooded his transforming consciousness, schematics, histories, warnings. This place wasn't just a research station. It was a nexus point, one of several the precursors had created to stabilize Earth's quantum field. "You're willing to risk the planet's stability just to maintain control," Marcus challenged Pierce, even as he began subtly manipulating the quantum patterns around them. "A calculated risk," Pierce replied. "The Worldbreaker will force your Guardian to comply. Once separated from her influence, your transformation can be properly directed." The chamber's crystalline structures vibrated as the Worldbreaker descended, its power causing quantum fluctuations visible even to normal human eyes. Outside, Naira fought desperately to reach the facility, but the remaining hunters held her back. Then Marcus felt something new resonances from other nexus points around the globe, responding to the Worldbreaker's presence. The precursors had built failsafes into the system. If one nexus point was threatened, others would activate to maintain stability. But that power needed direction, guidance. "Last chance, Marcus," Pierce offered. "Surrender to Archon's guidance, help us control humanity's evolution, or watch everything you love tear itself apart at the quantum level." Marcus closed his eyes, focusing on his bond with Naira. In that connection, he found not just power, but understanding. The precursors hadn't left the Guardians to control humanity's evolution, but to nurture it, to help humanity reach its potential naturally, not through forced manipulation. "You're right about one thing." Marcus opened his eyes, which now shimmered with quantum energy. "This is a moment of evolution, but not the kind you planned for." He reached out to the facility's quantum matrix, not trying to control it, but to work with it. Through his bond with Naira, he understood finally what the Guardians truly were, not weapons or tools, but partners in creation. The chamber's crystalline structures blazed with light as Marcus channeled power from the other nexus points. But instead of fighting the World Breaker's quantum distortions, he began to harmonize with them, creating new patterns that encompassed both order and chaos. "What are you doing?" Pierce demanded, backing toward the door as the quantum energies intensified. "Something you never considered," Marcus replied calmly. "I'm letting go of control." The quantum harmonics reached a crescendo. Through his bond, Marcus felt Naira break free from the hunters, her power amplified by his acceptance of their true purpose. The Worldbreaker's distortions met the rising quantum song from the nexus points, and instead of fighting, they began to dance. Reality itself seemed to hold its breath as new possibilities blossomed. The transformation that had begun in Marcus spread outward, offering itself to all who would accept it. Not forced evolution, but an invitation to grow, to transcend, to become more than the sum of their parts. "Marcus," Naira burst into the chamber, her crystalline form radiant with power. She took in the scene, the quantum patterns Marcus had woven, the harmonics he had created. "You've done it! You found the true path." "No," Pierce whispered, watching as the Worldbreaker above began to pulse in sync with the Nexus Point's quantum song. "This isn't how it was supposed to happen. The Archon Group's plans were based on fear and control," Marcus completed, extending his hand to Naira. As their forms touched, the quantum harmonics reached new levels of complexity and beauty. But real evolution comes from acceptance, from partnership, from love. The choice now lay before humanity, to embrace their quantum heritage naturally, growing into it with the Guardian's guidance, or to remain trapped in the prison of enforced limitations. As the quantum song spread outward from the nexus point, carrying its message of possibility to all who could hear it, Marcus and Naira stood together, ready to help guide humanity toward its true destiny. The quantum song echoed across the globe, resonating with nexus points hidden beneath ancient monuments and forgotten places. Marcus and Naira stood at the heart of the transformation, their combined power creating a bridge between humanity's present and its possible future. The Worldbreaker hovered above the facility, its massive crystalline form now pulsing in harmony with the quantum fields instead of trying to disrupt them. Through their strengthened bond, Marcus could sense confusion from the entity. Its purpose had been control, but it was discovering something new: partnership. "You can't possibly maintain this level of quantum harmony," Pierce warned, though her voice carried a note of uncertainty. "The energy requirements alone." "You still think in terms of limitations," Naira interrupted, her crystalline form seamlessly synchronized with Marcus's partially transformed state. "What flows between us isn't just energy, it's potential itself." Through their bond, Marcus sensed other awakenings beginning around the world. In laboratories, universities, and hidden facilities, more Guardians were emerging from stasis, responding to the quantum song. And with them, humans whose genetic markers resonated with the call of evolution. "The Archon Group has facilities worldwide," Pierce tried one last time. "Containment protocols are already." A deep chime cut through her words as the Worldbreaker descended, its massive form landing with impossible grace. Its voice resonated through quantum fields rather than air. "The protocols are ended." Marcus stepped forward, understanding flowing through him. "You were never meant to be a weapon of destruction. Like all Guardians, you were created to protect and nurture evolution." The Worldbreaker's form shifted, its aggressive angles softening. "The ones you call the Archon Group found me in stasis. They rewrote my purpose, but your quantum song has awakened my true directives." Through their bond, Naira shared Marcus's triumph and relief. More than that, she shared a vision of what was to come. Across the globe, frequencies shifted. The hunters, created by the same force that had corrupted the Worldbreaker, began to remember their original purpose. "It's not too late to be part of this," Marcus offered Pierce, who stood frozen between wonder and fear. "Real evolution isn't about control, it's about choice." Before she could respond, new quantum signatures appeared: more Guardians, arriving with their newly awakened human partners. Each pair unique, each connection adding new harmonies to the quantum song that was reshaping reality's possibilities. "The network is stabilizing," Naira announced, her voice carrying joy. "The nexus points are returning to their original purpose, not to constrain evolution, but to ensure it unfolds naturally." Marcus watched as the quantum patterns around them shifted from chaos toward harmony. Through his transformed senses, he could see the strands of possibility weaving together. Humanity stood on the brink of something magnificent, not a forced leap into an engineered future, but an invitation to grow into their full potential. "What happens now?" Pierce asked, finally lowering her defenses as the beauty of the quantum harmonics touched something deep within her. "Now," Marcus smiled, feeling Naira's approval through their bond, "we learn, we grow, we explore what it truly means to evolve not alone but together." The World Breaker's form resonated with the declaration. "I will help protect this transition. The time of control is ended. The time of partnership begins." Around them, the desert facility transformed. Crystalline structures emerged from the sand, creating a new kind of research center, one dedicated to understanding and nurturing the bond between humans and guardians. The quantum song settled into a steady rhythm, a heartbeat of possibility that would continue to call to those ready to answer. "There will be challenges," Naira cautioned, though her tone remained hopeful. "Not everyone will accept this change easily." Marcus took her crystalline hand, marveling at how natural it felt now. "Change is never easy, but forcing it is what caused the problems in the first place. We'll face the challenges together, helping others understand in their own time." The sun rose higher over the desert as more arrivals appeared: scientists, researchers, and officials drawn by the quantum awakening. Among them were those whose genetic markers were beginning to resonate, their potential calling out to dormant guardians around the world. "A simple purchase," Marcus mused, remembering how this had all started with his activation of Naira's stasis pod. Who could have known it would lead to this? "I knew," Naira's crystalline features formed a smile. "From the moment your quantum signature awakened me, I knew you would help restore the true path, not through control or force, but through understanding and love." Together, they stood at the dawn of humanity's next great adventure. The quantum song continued its gentle call, offering not an end to human existence, but a transformation, a chance to become something greater while remaining fundamentally themselves. A future built not on control and fear, but on partnership and possibility. As the new day brightened, Marcus and Naira began their work, teaching, guiding, and helping others understand the gift of evolution that had always been humanity's birthright. The simple purchase that had started everything had become something far greater, a love story that would help reshape humanity's destiny.